Can you guys hear me? And can you see my screen? Awesome. Sorry about this. I was I was having some issues with my the software that I use to stream. I'll give everybody some time to join, and then I'm just gonna share this link on Discord. Okay. Right. Awesome. I'm just gonna wait for 1 more minute, and then we can get started. Okay. All right. So this is the first live stream for the dApps that we're going to create for Sophomore. I hope you guys are excited. Yeah, this is going to be really awesome because in Sophomore we actually covered a lot of topics. So it's nice to have videos on them so that if you guys have any questions, we can answer them and you can get a little bit more clarification on what's happening. Sometimes some clarifications get lost in written tutorials, so having videos on them is definitely beneficial. Alright, and this is my second time live streaming, so I might make some mistakes, but just go along with me. Okay. Alright. I guess we can get started. Okay. Alright. Okay. We can get started. Alright. Yeah, I can see the chat. Yeah, okay. So Newborn is asking what are we going to learn today. So we're going to learn the first part. So each Sophomore series is going to be divided into multiple parts because Sophomore level dApps are really big. So it's really impossible to cover the entire dApp in one stream. So we're going to split it up. The first part that we're going to cover today is for the Whitelist App level. Yeah, it's for the Whitelist App level, and we're going to cover the smart contract part for the Whitelist App level. Alright, okay. So yeah, so this is the first part for the smart contract level. Okay. Okay. Alright. Just give me 1 second. I am having some more technical issues. Alright. Which is better to learn for job or Ethers.js? I think it's better to learn Ethers.js because Web3.js was the older version of Ethers.js, and nowadays like people are preferring to use Ethers.js more because it's more updated, it's faster, has more functionality. So I guess it would be better for you to learn Ethers.js than Web3.js. Okay. I hope you guys can see my terminal. So first we're going to get started with something called as hard hat. We learned a basic introduction about hard hat in our freshman track where I think we used it in our NFT tutorial where we learned like basic functionalities on how to deploy using hard hat, a simple smart contract. So I guess we'll use the same thing because hard hat is one of the most commonly used ones, and I think most people use hard hat. So it would be better for us to just continue with that. And let me just open our tutorial here. So I'll just go through any prerequisites we have before you guys can learn this one. All right. So if you go to our GitHub and you look at Whitelist Dapp, this is the link. There are some prerequisites before you can start with this level. The first one is you can write code in JavaScript because all our tutorials are in React and use JavaScript. You have a MetaMask wallet setup. This was done in the freshman track. And you have Node.js installed on your computer. This is what we did in freshman as well. But yes, you would need a Node.js installation. If you don't have a Node.js installation, you can install it from here. And we have provided links for everything for these prerequisites. So if you don't have them set up, I don't think you'll be able to continue with the live stream. I would suggest you to first complete these prerequisites and then come back and watch the live stream later. So what are we going to build today? We're going to build a Whitelist Dapp. Whitelist Dapp is one of the most common, I think, features in, or I guess like it has a lot of use case in the crypto world. One of the examples for whitelist is for NFT collections, right? So like there are big NFT collections and all these collections have offer whitelists. So like if you are active in their community, if you like contribute to their collection or to their project, they give you a whitelist spot so that you have access to certain NFTs before other general public. So that's what whitelist stands for. They can be whitelist for tokens as well. Like for example, you have a token drop coming up, and you're gonna drop some tokens to your users, but you want to give whitelist access, which is like whitelist access for like pre-sale mint of tokens to certain users. Whitelist is for other things as well, like you want to give certain special privileges to certain addresses to call certain functions. So for example, in our LearnWeb3 DAO's NFT contract, we have a whitelist function so that only the people who are whitelisted can transfer NFTs from one address to another. We did that because we didn't want students to keep transferring their NFTs, so we only gave certain privileged users the access to transfer NFTs because, that's what we wanted to do. So whitelist has a lot of usage in crypto world, and today we're going to build a whitelist Dapp for an NFT collection, and this NFT collection is named Crypto Devs. You can name it anything you want, but we call it Crypto Devs. because we are all developers in crypto. So I guess that was that was a name I came up with. So yeah, we're gonna build a whitelist collection so some people can enter into whitelist. And I think we give access to the first 10 users who want to get in. So the first 10 users who come up to our website and sign up for the whitelist access get the access, right? And the second requirement is that there should be a website, obviously, for people to enter into the whitelist. So it seems pretty simple, right? And it has a lot of use case. Recently, but it has a lot of use case, but it is very important to note that building a good whitelist Dapp is very important because even big NFT collections face problems where developers mess up the whitelist contract, and that has repercussions. Yesterday only, I was on a call, and one of the very famous people in the NFT world was telling me that a smart contract developer messed up the whitelist contract, and then it was a big loss for everyone else for the project, because if the whitelist is messed up, users can take advantage of it, right? So yeah, it's a very, very important use case. So let's get started. It's one of the very important things you need to know. All right. So I was talking about that we're going to use Hardhat. I guess you might have already heard about it in the freshman track. It's a very good tool for a smart contract development, and yeah, you can read their documentation here. They have lots of libraries, plugins. Yeah, and it's an amazing tool, I guess, for getting started. We used to have Truffle before, and honestly, this is a huge improvement from Truffle. Truffle used to be a pain in the ass, honestly. I never used to understand how to get started with Truffle. It was kind of messed up. All right, I guess we can use these instructions to set up our Hardhat folder and yeah, to basically get started with our project. Just one instruction for Windows users. Use command line and not PowerShell, because PowerShell has lots of, it has problems with Hardhat. So I suggest you use command line. Yeah, just use command line. And if that doesn't work, I've been suggesting some people to use Ubuntu terminal. I can share a link for that on Discord later if command line is also not working for you. But yeah, use command line and don't use sudo privileges. Just use the normal privileges. Alright, so I'm just going to go along with the tutorial as well. But okay. Okay, you can use any code editor. I am going to use VS Code. Yeah, you can basically use any one of them, but yeah, I just like VS Code for JavaScript. It's easy. It has a lot of plugins, and yeah, I just like it. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna expand my terminal here. Again, for Windows, use command line. You can, I guess, for you guys, it's gonna come up here, and just choose command line and make sure it's not PowerShell here. For Mac users, it's fine. You can even use the default terminal. It should work. All right, I'm gonna go to desktop. I've been seeing users having issues with GitHub. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna create a repository before I start programming. because I think that's an easier way for students to learn. Yeah, just I think this is an easier way, and this way you won't have the bugs that other students have been having. So yeah, so what you should go ahead and do is go to GitHub, right, and create a new repository. You can name it Whitelist tutorial, anything you want. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it private, and yep, and just click on create repository. Right. I'm gonna use SSH because I have SSH set up on my laptop, but you can also use HTTPS, whatever works for you, and you can copy this, right? And then you can git clone this, and then you can cd. So the advantage of this is, like, many students have been having issues with like their Git getting messed up. So this is gonna help with that, right? Like, this is gonna help because then you won't have issues with my app folder having issue, like a Git already installed into it. Like, some students already have, like, you won't understand what I'm saying right now because you haven't gone through it, but trust me on this. Create a GitHub repo before you get started. All right. Now that we have everything set up and we are on the master branch, we can get started. Okay. So now I'm not doing any magic. I am going to copy these instructions. These are instructions from Hardhat's official documents, official docs. So you can also copy this. This is gonna hopefully work for you. Yeah, so let's just start by copying this. So this created, sorry, I need to open. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't there in the folder. But yeah, this created a empty Hardhat tutorial folder for me. Then I'm gonna do this. Enter. So now my terminal is pointing here. Then npm init yes. This is going to initialize npm, and yes means basically answering yes for all the questions. And then we are gonna install Hardhat. All right, awesome. This should work for everyone, hopefully. Do you have any questions? Could you please introduce yourself and what do you do? Yes, I am a blockchain security engineer at Coinbase. Yeah, that's what Hardik said. I've been in the crypto space for like 2-3 years now. I worked at MetaMask before, and yeah, like, I've been a part of many crypto projects and have been in the industry for many years now. So I have lots of experience, have experienced with lots of technologies. So yeah, that's the brief intro about me. Pocoman is asking Graph, Chainlink, VRF, Junior Track coming soon. Yep, it should be coming near the end of this week, by Sunday, or here and there 2 more days. Like, it might get delayed by 2 days or something, but expect it like very, very, very soon. Yeah. Is it installs Hardhat in local machine or GitHub? It installs Hardhat on your in your folder, the Hardhat tutorial folder. VS Code is next. All right. Okay, I think we're done with the questions. Okay, and this is installed now. Sorry, I do Command K. That's why it clears my terminal. I don't know if I should do that for you guys, but yeah, I just cleared my terminal. But it executed this. All right, after this, I'm going to do npx hard. I'm again copying it from here, no magic. This is not the commands I have learned. This is just in their documentation. And you're going to press enter for everything. So enter, enter, and it's basically going to do the magic for you. So it's going to do everything for you. It's going to set up all the folders, structures, everything. It's just going to do it for you. So that's really nice, right? Like you just execute one command and it does everything for you. That's really nice. With Truffle, I didn't used to have this experience. I always used to get stuck at something when using Truffle. It never used to be like this. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one part. So sometimes it doesn't work for Windows. So you should go ahead and do this extra step. You need to install these extra libraries if what you're seeing on my screen is not happening for you. If that's not happening for you, you need to install these libraries because Hard Hat has some issues with Windows. So yeah. All right. I don't see any questions here. All right. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna wait. Are you guys all set up? Yeah. Bro, I used to have so many issues with Truffle. I used to think I'm dumb for not being able to set it up because, yeah, I don't know. It used to trouble me a lot. But that's why I ask people to not even use it now. We don't even teach it anymore because that Truffle is, I guess, gonna be dead in a few years if they don't do something soon. Okay, it would be great if you can make some videos in Hindi. It would also gain many views. I think Hardik already has some videos. We can share it on Discord later. But yeah, Hardik has some videos that I think if you guys have a link for Hardik's Hindi YouTube channel, maybe you can share it with him. Yeah, but basically, like, he has some videos in Hindi. We have to make these videos in English because we have people from all over the world, and I'm pretty sure like other people also have issues understanding English, but I guess I think I'm not 100% sure, don't go on my facts here, but I hope English is something which most people are a little bit comfortable with. Yeah, I just hope that. And most of the documentation is in English, so I guess we have to go with English, and let's just hope it works for us. But I feel like our website should have language, different languages supported. Something what Odyssey DAO did. I really appreciate them for doing that. So I guess we should also do that. Might be nice to have our tutorials in different languages for people who don't understand English. All right. Okay. I was on the brink of throwing my computer. Yeah, I know. I've done that. Okay. All right. Let's get started. Okay. Now comes the fun part, right? So this was like all set up. This is not interesting. This is boring. But now we're gonna get started with creating our contract. All right. So you need to go to your contracts folder and create a new file. I'm gonna name it whitelist. Okay. Yeah, you can create this file using your editor, or you can use your OS to create this file, whatever works best for you. So pragma, solidity, and we're gonna have 0.8.0. Okay, I'm just gonna write some lines, and I hope this makes, like, I'm gonna explain this though. All right. Okay. License. Identifier. All right. Okay, so this is the license. So we are giving it an MIT license, meaning that this is open sourced and anybody can look at your code and look at your code. Basically, it's open source. And pragma solidity means the version of the solidity compiler you want to use, and we're going to use 0. Like anything above 0.8.0. This means anything above this number. Yeah, it's a little bit, we shouldn't be using this, but our tutorial has this, and not to confuse anyone, we're just gonna stick with this. But there are many other, the most commonly one is I think the 4 one, but now people have also started using 10, but we'll stick with 0 for the time being. All right, any questions? Okay, all right. We're gonna name our contract contract whitelist. Okay, so this is the contract name, and okay, yep. So constructor max. All right. So this is our constructor. Constructor is in Solidity is very similar to any other constructor in other languages, right? Like it is to specify the variables which are like which are going to be used, like which are there, like to initialize variables, basically, right? So we have a uint public max whitelisted addresses. So this is basically the maximum number of addresses which can be whitelisted. Okay, don't mess this up, because some people just forget to have a max number, and then any number of like people can go into the whitelist. So that shouldn't happen. So this is basically like if I have a collection of 10,000 NFTs, I want to give the whitelist to 1,000 addresses to be able to mint during the whitelist period, during the pre-sale period. Before the actual sale period, like there's a pre-sale period, and being able to mint in that. So that's what we use this for. And I know this is a very big name I gave it, but big names are good for understanding, right? Because we're trying to understand here. So this is underscore, meaning this is the variable that came in with the constructor, and we assign this value to our contract's global variable, which is max whitelist addresses. We kept it as uint 8 because we don't expect our max number of whitelist addresses to be a huge number, and I think we decided we're gonna give 10 whitelist spots, right? So our we don't need uint 256 for that, so that's why just to save storage, it's storage space in our contract, it's better for us to use uint 8 and not uint 256 and other variables as well, like uint whatever, like 16. We don't want to use that, we want to use the lowest one, so that's why we used uint 8 here. All right, do we have any questions here? Nope. Okay, so far so good. This is very simple, but believe me, people make a lot of mistakes here. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so this one, and let me create another variable just to have something before I can talk again. Alright, awesome. So I created these two new variables, and this is basically to keep track of number of addresses whitelisted till now, right? So how many addresses have been listed till now? Initially it's going to be 0 because everything in like the uint 8 in Solidity by default is 0, so that's why we don't need to initialize it here. Solidity does that for us, so it's going to be 0 because right now no address has whitelisted, and yep, and this is a mapping. Okay, so yeah, this we are done. The other variable we have is whitelisted addresses, and as you can guess, what it means is which one is the address which has been whitelisted, right? So I give this mapping an address, and I set it to true or false. So whether this address has access to the whitelist or not. Every address by default is going to have false value set to it. So every address, like for example, my address right now, it's going to be like false right now. So it starts by setting everything to false. So that's really good for us, right? We don't have to like set it up in the constructor because Solidity already does that for us. So that's pretty cool, right? Otherwise we would have to like go through every address and specifically set them to false. And mapping here is hash map. I'm not sure if you guys know about what hash maps are. Hash maps are a data structure. You can read about it, I guess. Yeah, there are a lot of tutorials on hash map. But basically what hash maps are basically you map something to something. So you say for this address, this is the value. So this address can only have this value, right? There can't be duplicates. This address can only have either true or false. It can't have both the values, and it's going to map it in O1 time. So that's the best part about hash maps, that everything happens in O1 time. So it's pretty fast. The internal working of hash maps, you can definitely read about it online, but it is very fast. It's O1. That's why we didn't store the whitelisted addresses in an array, and rather we stored it in a hash map. We were like initially thinking that maybe we should teach you guys arrays and not mapping because it might be confusing for you, but we took a step here and we decided we're gonna teach you what a mapping is. Mapping does everything in O1. which is like the time complexity, and an array is usually the operations, like the maximum runtime can be on, like to loop through the array. So that's why mapping here is better. Yeah, okay. So I think I already answered this question. Cannot we just store addresses in a list, right? That's why we don't do it, because the operations in list can get up to on, and just imagine, right? Like if you have a list, let A be an address, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so to actually go till F, you would have to first go A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you find F, and then you can see, okay, what value of F it is. But in in a mapping, you can just say, like you can just say what's the value of F directly. You can just say like whitelist listed addresses F, and it's going to give you the value directly, because and you don't have to loop through the entire array. I'm not going deeper into what a hash map is, but yeah, do give it a read. You'll understand why it's able to directly give you the value. It has some things going on inside it. It uses linked lists and stuff like that internally. So give it a read. All right, I think that's a really good point. That was really important for us to explain, because lots of students make this error. Don't be that person who converts this into a list and then you're looping through the entire list. And as what Hardik mentioned, it's going to be very gas intensive, because you have to iterate, right? The more operations you do in Solidity, the more gas the user has to pay. So don't make this rookie mistake. Make sure that you have a mapping for the whitelisted addresses. All right, we can move ahead. Function. Now we're gonna create a function, right? This contract has to do something. We can't just keep reading the variables. This is a very basic function, and I guess anybody can guess what it's gonna do. It's gonna add an address to the whitelist, right? Add address to whitelist. So yeah, this is a function we needed, and let's just code it, right? Like adding our anybody to the whitelist. Okay, so first require that the I'm going to copy this whitelist addresses Okay, this is a very important check, because if the address is, yeah, don't worry about this right now because we're gonna write more code. But yeah, so what is this require statement doing? This require statement is checking if that, so if the message.sender is the address of the user who called this function, right? So it's the address of the user who called this function. So it's going to check in this mapping if this address is already there in the whitelist. So you need to provide the address, right? And then it returns true or false. So if this whole statement is false, this means that if the user is not in the whitelist, then it's fine. Then you can go ahead and do everything here. But if he's already in the whitelist, we shouldn't go further, because wait, this address is already there. initially initialized everything to false. This means that nobody was in the whitelist. But if the sender is already in the whitelist, we should throw an error and be like, wait, you are already in the whitelist. Why are you calling this function again? This is not good. Yeah, so that's what this does. So it checks that this needs to be false. If this is true, then throw an error. I hope this makes sense. So this needs to be false. If this is not false, give an error. Okay, we need to have another require statement, and that is going to be require num address whitelisted is less than max address whitelisted. Obviously, I think this is okay. So this one is basically just checking that if the addresses that have been whitelisted, so it keeps track of the number of addresses whitelisted till now, right? Initially it is 0, so obviously it's going to be less than the max number of whitelisted addresses. But if it is greater or equal to, then we shouldn't go further, right? We shouldn't do anything else, because this means the limit has been reached and no more addresses should be added to the whitelist mapping. So that's why it says max limit reached, and we're not going to allow anyone else to get in. And the last thing is whitelisted addresses message.sender. We set this to true, and okay, so we set the yeah, so finally we set this to true. It was false initially. We set this address to true, and we increased the number of whitelisted addresses. So we're done with the contract. Isn't this cool? Nice. Okay, we increased the number of whitelisted, set this to true. Do you guys have any questions? I don't see any questions, so I guess I'll move ahead. Okay, so now we have our contract ready, and our next step is to deploy it, right? So we're gonna create a file called as deploy.js inside our scripts folder, and we're gonna write some code here to deploy our contract. So we're gonna again be using hard deploy dot deployed. Okay. I'm gonna zoom in. Alright. I hope this is better. Can you guys see it better? All right, let me look at some questions. So does plus plus work in Solidity as well? I think so, yeah, it works. Can you zoom in a bit? Yeah, I zoomed in. I'm sorry about that. I should have asked before. But yeah, I hope you can see this. Let me know if you can see. Okay, awesome. Also, whitelist spelling error in get contract. I don't see the spelling mistake. I guess I can come back to that later. But yeah, it's going to throw an error if I have a spelling mistake. Don't worry about that. Okay, what's the difference between uint 8 and uint 256? Yes, I think Anish answered it right. It's the range, right? So uint is like basically 0 to 2 to the power 8 minus 1, and uint 256 is 0 to 2 to the power 256 minus 1. So that's the range. uint 256 is a big number, and uint 8 is like the normal number you use in JavaScript. So yeah, that's the difference, like basically the range of numbers it can hold. Yep, I'm gonna explain what's happening. So deploy.send.deploy. Let me just finish it first, and then you guys can just code along with me, and then we can understand what's going on, and I can answer all questions. I know I don't type as fast as Hardik. His speed is like top 10% in the world or something. So obviously I can't compete with him. But yeah, like this thing, and we have last thing left. So this is main. Okay, now that we have all the code for it, I'm gonna just break this down. Okay, all right. So first we imported ethers from Hardhat. This is like a special version of ethers that Hardhat wrapped. So it's not the usual ethers that you use. Then this contract factory. Once again, do I have any questions? Okay, Vatsal is asking what is 10 at the end of line 6. Yeah, I'm gonna explain that. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, so what this basically does is like it looks at these contracts, right? So there are many contracts here. There's this greeter.sol, which is like the default contract that comes with Hardhat. So we need to tell which contract we want to use, right? So what it does is like from the contract factory, it gets the whitelist one, which is like R1, and you need to name it same. So if your contract here is whitelist, you need to tell it like, okay, this is the whitelist one, and also the name here should be the same. And yeah, then it's just gonna get that, it's gonna create an instance of that contract and put it here. And what it does here is the next step after it has created an instance, you call .deploy with this value 10. So what is this value 10? This value 10 is the value we needed in the constructor, and also we decided we're going to give the first 10 users the access to the whitelist, right? So that's why I wrote 10 here. This deploy function takes in the constructor arguments, and yeah, so that's why it took the 10. And then we're going to wait till it actually gets deployed, because we know like in blockchain everything, the processing takes time. It's not, okay, you just do something and it's just done within milliseconds. You have to wait. and then we just print the address. It's very simple, right? It's so simple. If you know this, it looks like, wait, what is this? This is the easiest thing ever. Blockchain is not hard. And then what we do is dot main is like calling this main function. Dot then is after this function is called, you exit with a 0 status, which means that everything was good. But if you catch an error, you need to print that error, and you exit and you tell, you let the operating system know that, okay, there was an error. The program didn't go successfully, so that's why that status code of 1. That's what it means. If you have any questions, let me know, but it's very simple to understand. No black magic happening around here. Okay, so this is well and good. I don't see any questions here, so we should be fine. That's amazing. I hope I'm doing a good job. Okay, so this is done. We're gonna go ahead and look at this file. This should have been already created by hard hat for you, so you can go here, but this is not the code we are looking for, so I'm gonna delete this. Okay, and we'll write, okay, but I think I should put this here for you guys if you want to, if somebody is a little bit behind. Okay, require direct waffle. It already tells me, actually I have to close this because otherwise people won't be able to see this, but yeah, require .env dot config Let me look for any questions. Alright, okay, this is nice. No questions. That's nice. Actually, that's hopefully everybody. It's not that hard if you understand what's happening. Okay, networks. And the reason we decided to do these live streams was so that we can have questions and not just record in our spare time, because then it's very hard for us to understand what kind of questions everybody's gonna have. That's why we have live sessions instead of just recording a video and providing it to you guys, because that doesn't work. And what questions that you ask are also gonna help other people who are learning. So don't feel like you're the only one who's not understanding. I'm pretty sure everybody else is gonna have the same issues. So feel free to ask. It's gonna help other people who weren't able to make here to the live stream. Okay, so alright, why did it install this? We don't need this. Okay, now it looks good. So this is the library that we installed from Hard Hat. This is needed so that we can write this code and it understands what we're doing. .env is a package that we are going to install very soon, and this is going to help us to get the environment variables, which you shouldn't put in the code directly. you should never put your private key directly here. I see some students just putting their private key here. That should not happen. The reason why we ask you to have an environment file is that if you look at git ignore, we ignore the environment file. We don't push it to GitHub because that's not safe and that's not recommended, and otherwise you're gonna lose all your money. So don't do that. Create an environment file, and this is a way in JavaScript to get the environment variables. So we're gonna have two variables: Alchemy API key URL, which is the node URL for RinkB network. So there are multiple networks, right? But we're going to be using RinkB, and the node URL for this RinkB that we're going to use is the Alchemy API key URL that we're going to get, and the accounts that we will use to deploy this contract from the address from which we're going to deploy this contract is retrieved using this private key. So that's why you need to provide the private key so that it knows which account or which address are you deploying this contract from. Okay. So yeah, so as I mentioned, this .env, right? Like, let's just install this. So in your terminal, if you can see, install .env. Nice. So this is gonna help us to create environment variables, to load environment variables from this .env file. That's why we have this. And meanwhile, while it's doing this, see where I create this environment file. It's going to be here inside my hard hat. It should be inside your hard hat tutorial folder. Okay, so nice. That's why it's gonna get ignored. Okay, so this code is clear. You get these two variables from the environment variable. This is the Solidity version. These are the networks. This is RinkB. This is the node URL, and this is the accounts that we're deploying from. Okay, so I think we have lots of questions. How can we add other networks than RinkB? You can read the docs, but yeah, you just need to create an object like this, right? So you just say like Robston and then blah blah, and then you add these details here. Yeah, so it's very similar, and then you just basically do this, but you can't use the same Alchemy API key because this one is going to be for RinkB specifically. You have to change that, but yeah, just you can create it like this. How do you show the git branch? I'm using Zeesh terminal. Oh my Zeesh. It's pretty cool. Oh my Zeesh. Lots of people use it. Yeah, it helps you to get the master branches. You can install it from here. I can put the link up here. Okay. Okay, hard hat waffle. Yeah, this comes with hard hat, and you need to require this, otherwise this is not gonna work. Or for it to understand what's happening here, you need to import this. I'm not sure what's happening behind the scenes for this because I haven't read their code, but for this to work, like for this, like, you know, for you to specify the Solidity version and this networks, and for it to detect, you need to, this is the config file they need, right? So yeah, that's why you need to import it. I think Hardik made a mistake by not importing this in one of his tutorials. And then he was debugging for many hours, but yeah, don't make this mistake. What are tasks in hard hat? Tasks are like, you know, for example, if you want to have a task for, you know, sending some tokens or any other task. Like it's like normal Web2 task. Like if you have a task for that you want to send this amount of tokens to these many people, and you have a task for that that is able to do that. So it's basically that. You've never really explored that, you can try setting it up. It's nothing different. You just follow their documentation, and it should be very easy to set up. Once you understand the basics, it should be pretty easy to do. How can we add other network? Okay. How do you show? Okay. Once deployed, we have option to update any changes through contact directly. So Aussie is asking, once deployed, we have option to update any changes through contract directly or through terminal created right. So once a contract is deployed, you can't change the contract. It's deployed, right? It's there in the blockchain forever. It is immutable. You would have to deploy a new contract. If you have new changes, you have to deploy a new contract. You can't work with the previous contract and make changes. How to launch on Polygon. That you're going to learn in junior, and I'm not going to spend time here because it is a little bit more detailed, and yeah, we're going to learn that extensively in junior track, coming very soon, very, very soon. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions? Suppose, there's one more question. Suppose during interacting with the smart contract, if the smart contract throws an error due to invalid input, does the gas fees so yeah, so Hardik is right? Like if some code was already executed before the gas was thrown, they already did those steps for you, so they're not gonna return that gas for you. But if you gave them extra gas, that extra one is going to be returned back. But yeah, the one that has already been spent is not going to be returned back. So it's like, let me show this, right? For example, if you go to this contract and this require statement works, okay? So this is fine. The address is not in the whitelist, but this fails, okay? So they're gonna return, like they're not gonna return you the gas for these two instructions because they were already executed, but they'll return anything that's left or anything that's extra that you sent for these two or anything extra that you added. But yeah, the gas for these two won't be returned because this was already executed, even though you failed here because the max number of whitelisted addresses had already been achieved. But yeah, they still did these things for you, right? So they deserve some money. So yeah, so it's like that. So this is installed, npm install.n. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions. I hope that was clear. Why are we not using Yarn for deployment? Why? Because most people don't have Yarn installed on their computer, and we thought it would be better if we just don't trouble them right now, because a lot of students don't have like experience with JavaScript as well, right? They might have experience with Python or Java or Go or any other language, so we can't expect them to keep installing multiple packages. So we just decided to go ahead and go with Yarn, npm, which is by default it comes with Node installation. That's why we didn't do Yarn, even though Yarn is like faster. Okay, all right. We have this ready now. Okay, and this is installed. You can see this is installed. Now we need to actually create the .n file. So just go to alchemy. We can copy it from here. So these two variables, right? So Alchemy API key URL, this one we need, and we need Rinkeby private key. So how to get these variables? So Alchemy, you go to alchemy.com, you log in. I'm gonna attach this link here. So go to alchemy.com and you can create an app here. You specify like whitelist, description, whitelist, Dapp. I'm just gonna name it one because I already have a whitelist here, and Ethereum, and you from here you select Rinkeby and you create app, and it's gonna create it here. And I'm not gonna view key because that's unsafe, but you gotta copy the HTTP one, not the first one, but the HTTP one. We need the URL. You remember that, right? URL, not the key itself. So yeah, copy the key from here, and for MetaMask, Rinkeby, you need to go to Rinkeby, and from I think it was settings, for private key you need to go to open MetaMask, and then I think it was here. How did you used to import private key from? Wait, I gotta search this up. Import private key from MetaMask. I forgot. Okay. Oh, okay. So you need to click here and account details and yeah, just export the private key. Okay. Yep, I'm not gonna show my private key to you because that's not safe, but you're gonna do that, and yep, and you'll paste it here. So add an equal to sign here, okay, and put your HTTP URL in these codes. So it should go inside this, and your private key should also go inside this because these are strings, right? And also because they have special characters. So yeah. I'm gonna not share this on my screen, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I suggest you guys do that too. I'll be back. Remember the HTTP one, okay, for the Alchemy API key URL, and no space after equal to. So no space after alchemy underscore key underscore URL. There should be no spaces, okay? No spaces should be left. Otherwise, you're gonna have errors. Okay, I think I'm done. I hope you guys are done too. So yeah, don't share your private key with anyone. I remember like in the last live stream, or I think last to last live stream, yeah, Hardik shared his private key on the live stream and someone started stealing his Rinkby funds. Don't do it. People even steal your Rinkby funds. Okay, so how it should look like, I think I should show it here. Okay, so just so that you don't make a mistake, don't leave a space here. Okay, many students just add a space here. Don't do that, and add the HTTP URL here and your private key here, and these should be in quotes and no space. Okay, no space. That's like a very rookie mistake people make. Don't do that. Alright, and I think the last thing we have to do is we have to npx hard hat compile. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, so the compilation is successful. That's nice, right? When you get your compilation successful in the first run, it's the best feeling ever because yeah, you don't have to solve for any bugs. But again, this command I got from here. This is again a command from Hardhat, and they do that for you, which is amazing. Difference between Infura, Alchemy and RPC URL would be great if you could explain as an analogy to Web2. Analogy to Web2. So, I think the analogy is, for example, you start a DigitalOcean or like not even DigitalOcean, like if you like for example have an API, right, which is connecting to a database. So let's just imagine database as being the blockchain, right, and the API is basically connecting with the database. So that API which is basically connecting with the database is the API or is the URL for which is equivalent to node URL or Infura or Alchemy URL. So what are these doing, right? They're running nodes which are basically connecting you with the blockchain. So that's very similar to how you can consider it in databases. You can so the node, like the API URL connects with the database. Similarly, these URLs connect you with the blockchain. Why do you need Alchemy? So Alchemy, as I explained, right? Like it's the URL. It's the URL which connects. So Alchemy runs nodes. Okay, so they run nodes for Rinkeby, Ropsten, etc., etc. And these nodes further connect with the Rinkeby blockchain or Ethereum blockchain and stuff like that. So these are the URLs to these nodes so that these nodes can further connect you with the blockchain, because you can't directly connect with the blockchain, right? You're not running nodes. You can run nodes, like we'll learn in junior track that you can run a local blockchain and then you can run local nodes for that, and then you'll provide your own HTTP URL for that because you're running your own node, and that's going to be your local host. But right now we have to connect with the blockchain using their nodes because we aren't running Rinkeby nodes by ourselves. That's what it is. I hope it makes sense. Okay, so nice. Oh, sorry, I have again cleared my terminal. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm gonna compile. Okay, nothing to compile. It says nothing to compile, meaning everything is compiled. This is a script that Hardhat already has. to compile the contracts, which is pretty amazing, right? Because you don't have to do anything. And the next script we're going to run is deploy.js. You can copy it from our GitHub URL. This is also something that Hardhat already provides to us. So this is the network. So let's open the, yeah, you need a really good computer to run Node, but I guess ETH2 is going to solve that. But okay, so npx hardhat run script/deploy.js. This is the script we wrote, right? So it's going to run this script, and it's going to run it on network ring B. Later on in junior track, we learn multiple networks, and you can deploy on Mumbai, which is going to be cool. Mumbai has its own problems, but oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, your account should have ring B in it, okay? Ring B Ether in it, but I think that was taught in junior track. But what you can do is, like, you can go to a ring B testnet faucet and Ethereum ring B, put in your address here and add some test ether. I think this is working, hopefully. Sometimes the faucets just hold down. Verify. Okay, yeah, I think this is working. I'm gonna send this link here. So if your address doesn't have ring B in it, this is gonna fail. So please make sure that the address for which you have provided the private key has some ring B ether in it. Okay. And boom. Nice. I think it's behaving slow. Oh, nice. It printed the whitelist contract address for us, and that's what we wanted, right? Like, we deployed our contract to ring B. Is Alchemy a type of EVM? Oh, no. Alchemy is a company, and Alchemy URL, as I said, right? Like, Alchemy URL is an API, or like they run nodes, and the Alchemy URL is basically the API to these nodes, which further connect to the blockchain. EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine, and this is where your contracts, like, this is what is needed to execute your contracts or to, like, compile your contracts. So EVM is like virtual machine. For example, your operating system is an OS. Similarly, EVM is like a virtual machine which has its own way of compilation. Like, for example, JVM, which is like JavaScript virtual machine. So JVM is so like you have your operating system, right, and you have EVM on top of that operating system, so that it does what it has to do to compile your English looking code into its bytecode, and that is used by, that's what EVM is for, right? Like, it converts that this English looking code into something that is understandable by the blockchain, by the contract, by the machine. Right. We can view the contract here. So if you paste the contract address, you can see it's here. We haven't done the second part of the tutorial, which is basically interacting with this contract and creating a front end for it, but we'll finish this tutorial here, because otherwise it's going to get too long, and we don't want that to happen. Yes, yeah, that's why they can steal real tokens as well. That's why you should never, put up your private key, because it's the same, right? It's the same private key. You're right, yeah. Any other questions? I think we're done with the tutorial. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But we have deployed our contract, and in the second part of this tutorial, we'll write a DApp, we'll write a front end to interact with this. I'm gonna wait for 5 minutes till 11:30, and then we can end the live stream. Last time I ended it right after I was done with the tutorial, which was not nice, because I guess I didn't give you guys time to learn, time to ask questions, right? Do you guys have any questions? We're gonna have the part 2, I guess, next week. I feel like for DeFi exchange and other dApps, it's gonna take even longer. Like, even explaining the contract part took us 1.5 hours, right? So we can't keep you guys here for 3 hours. So that's why it's better to split it up. If you guys have any questions, otherwise we'll be there on Discord to help you with it. Help you with any other ones you have. Do you guys have a plan to include AMM in your? We already have one in our sophomore track. That's what I was talking about right now, like the DeFi exchange one. It's going to be a pretty big tutorial. I guess it's going to take like 3 parts or something, or like maybe 4, because even the contract is so damn big. I guess we should have a separate live stream for just the explanation part for it. But we already have one, Satish. If you want to have a look, go for it. Do you guys have a plan to include? Oh, I already answered that. But yeah, don't expose your private key. Yeah, I made that mistake when I was like in 4 years ago, okay, and I was trying this new thing. Like, I was trying staking for the first time, and I had staked my some of my ETH there, and then I just pushed my private key to GitHub, okay, and this was a big problem, because obviously there are bots that are running and they're continuously checking for if someone leaked their private key, and this bot picked it up, and then he used to just front run all my transactions and used to make sure that I wasn't able to withdraw any of my funds. So make sure that you don't do the same mistake. I didn't lose a lot of money, like it was just, I think, $100 or something, like. But still, yeah, don't make this mistake. Are we going to learn making game with blockchain? Yes. In junior track, we have some games that you're going to learn. So that's going to be pretty cool. Any other questions? I have 2 more minutes. I think this went well because we didn't take up a lot of time. Yeah, 1.5 hour tutorials are nice. Not that big. How long do you have been involved in Web3 stuff? I think 2-3 years now. Yeah, probably my 4th year or something. But yeah, been many years now. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Have a really good day, good night, good afternoon, whichever time zone, or good evening, whichever time zone you are in, and hope everything works out for you. And I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.